If you have become a fan of reading during this pandemic, chances are you aren't the only one. Millions of people around the world are now getting into the habit of reading because they have nothing else to do during the pandemic. Reading is one of the best habits which you can develop for yourself. Not only is it an extremely refined hobby, but it helps sharpen the mind and gives you a wealth of information through the readings which you go through. Today, D LUX Life brings you the 10 books that sold millions. Let's start with number 10. Number 10. Lolita. An extremely controversial book for the modern age. The book talks about pedophilia and the abuse of a young girl by an older man. Though it has become another literary classic, the book should be read with caution if you are triggered by some of the topics which it talks about. However, that doesn't take away the fact that the book has sold over 50 million copies around the world and continues to be talked about through literature classes around the world. The book has also become a major part of pop culture, especially when topics such as abuse are discussed. Number 9. The Alchemist. One of Paulo Coelho's best-selling novels, the book looks at the life of a boy who sets out to achieve his dreams. You may have heard of the book as just about everyone has read it in the modern age. Don't be surprised if you are in a park or heading home on the subway and see someone sitting down and reading the book. It is, after all, a classic. One which has certainly made its mark in literary history with just under 65 million sales. Number 8. Catcher in the Rye. This literature classic takes a spot on our list for books which have sold millions of copies in the world. Surely, Salinger would never have imagined that his book would be such an enormous success. Now, roughly 70 years on, the book has sold 65 million copies around the world and remains one of the most purchased books of all time. A major achievement for any writer. The success which Catcher in the Rye received was one of monumental proportions, and we are proud to recommend this piece of literature. Before we continue, subscribe to D LUX Life and ring the bell icon to get regular updates on the latest uploads. If you like this video, share it with your friends and family. Let's get back to the video. Number 7. The Da Vinci Code. The thrillers which Dan Brown produces are some of the most famous in the world. He has produced cult classics which have taken the literature world by storm. Angels and Demons and the Da Vinci Code remain some of the best-selling books and movies of all time. He brings in an element of conspiracy theory and a certain amount of thrill which we would all be interested in. Not only that, but Dan Brown is a very reader-friendly author. It's very easy to imagine the things he is saying in your mind's eye, a trait which is essential when you're looking to become a writer. If you are a conspiracy nut and a fan of thrillers, check out the Da Vinci Code. Number 6. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Again, one of the most famous stories in history. C.S. Lewis did a fantastic job in conveying the world of Narnia, which he had created. Not only that, but the books have been adapted into highly successful movies, which have taken the world by storm. Most children have either read about or watched the movie, hence the reason they know about the world of Narnia. With over 85 million copies sold worldwide, you can imagine why this book makes its place in this list of the 10 books which sold millions around the world. If you have kids, consider having them read the book. Number 5. The Hobbit. The universe which Tolkien created inspired millions around the world till this day. There are a few people in the developed world who haven't heard about The Lord of the Rings and the lore which the author created. The book has inspired movies, video games, and even sung by rock bands such as Led Zeppelin. Imagine the sheer talent and creative genius which the man had. A creative mastermind of our time, J.R.R. Tolkien is indeed one of the most famous and best-selling authors in history. This is indicative by the 100 million copies of The Hobbit which were sold around the world. Number 4. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Whatever your opinions may be about the Harry Potter series, you cannot deny the fact that the series has been met with an immense amount of success. Not only has it inspired children around the world, but adults too find themselves captivated by the stories which Rowling put through in her writings. The woman who should be a role model to many has risen from poverty. The best-selling author who has sold 107 million with this book alone has indeed achieved more than she probably ever imagined. An example for everyone who thought they could never achieve success. Look at J.K. Rowling. Number 3. Lord of the Rings. Again, we see Tolkien swooping in and taking another spot on our list. This should give you an indication as to how popular his books are and the impact which they have made on pop culture. Other than that, the sheer number of books which the man has sold is hard to wrap around your head. Forget the movies, forget the songs, and forget all the royalties from here and there. The sheer number of books which he sold through The Lord of the Rings is 150 million copies around the world. This man has achieved literary stardom, and boy is it well deserved. Number 2. A Tale of Two Cities. Possibly the most famous literature book of all time. Charles Dickens and his absolute masterpiece has made its mark in history and pop culture alike. The book is taught in nearly every school in the Western world and continues to dominate the sales of books around the world. If you haven't read it, please do. It is one of the greatest books of all time, hence the reason why it has sold some 200 million copies around the world. Finally, we come to a book which has the greatest sales of all time. Perhaps you would have guessed it by now. It is indeed another literary masterpiece and a part of history. Number 1. Don Quixote. The book, which was published in the year 1605, would soon become one of the best-selling books of all time. Many would argue that the book shouldn't be on the list because it hasn't had that many sales in the modern age. However, we're taking into account the fact that it was published 400 years ago. It is estimated that its historic sales are somewhere around 500 million copies. Yes, 500 million people bought the book since it was first published. Which of these books have you already read? And which of these are you planning to add to your reading list? Let us know in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure you share this with your friends and subscribe to D LUX Life and click the bell icon to get regular updates. D LUX Life. Find what calls to you. See you in the next video.